Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while, I feel like, since I've actually done a tier list, because most of these types of videos have been uwu ones. So, we are finally back on the tier list, and today we are doing Mario Party 1 boards. As you can see, this tier list has from 1 to Jamboree, but I'm thinking, like, we could probably do a video on all of them, and then we could have the whole tier list by the end. So, personally, I will probably be ranking boards based on how enjoyable their mechanics are, how enjoyable the game mechanics make them, because that is a legit part of it, and the music, of course. There are, I'm pretty sure, 8 boards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, one for each character, Bowser, and then the star levels. So let's just jump right in. We got DK's Jungle Adventure. So honestly, DK's Jungle Adventure, its biggest gimmick, because that's kind of the thing about each board, is it kind of has like a main gimmick, are the pathways that you have to pay money for, and the rolling ball. And really, I wouldn't say any of these are bad. I would say nothing. It doesn't do anything really to stand out, but it doesn't do anything like wrong. So I would say it's a really good board. I think also a good way to do it is in comparison to the other boards with their gimmicks. I think DK's Jungle Adventure would be an easy one to pick. So I'll put it in A tier, because I think if we're just doing Mario Party 1 boards, it is one of the best. Which I guess puts an interesting perspective into it. If we compare it later to these other boards, maybe it'll go down and up a bit. So hey, stay tuned. Next is PJ's Birthday Cake. Let's put that bad boy in F, because Mario Party Superstars fixed one of its biggest problems, and that is the seeds. Because in Mario Party 1, you have to pay for the seeds before you go to the star. So if you lose to Bowser, you go in a circle, and then you have to pay the seed again. And if you lose to Bowser, you have to go in a circle again. It just is a never-ending process, and potentially. So yes, there's a risk of basically being in the Bowser loop the entire game and never being able to go to the star. No matter how unlikely it is more of a likely thing to happen. Not only that, truthfully, this board isn't super fun because it's just like going up a tower, and there isn't really much to happen except the piranha plants. So it isn't really that exciting as it already is, plus the seed mechanic. So easy F tier for me personally. All right, next up is Yoshi's Tropical Island. Now we're talking. Yoshi's Tropical Island is, the big... PJ's Birthday Cake music too. It's not too bad, but it's not going to get out of F. Where I was going to say, Yoshi's Tropical Island, out of these 3, it's the first one I'd say is a banger. I'd say the other 2 are good, but this one's a banger. So, okay, you know what? Let's skip that and go right to Yoshi's. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so its thing is there's basically 2 islands. One has Toad, one has Bowser. If you hit some happening spaces, the location of the star flips. And I think this is a really, really good board. Because for one, I think this is the first one to have a legit mechanic that I think works really well. And it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you watching happening spaces. And then there's the risk of going one way and then someone hits a happening space. Now, I will also say that once again, I think Mario Party Superstars, some Mario Party Superstar items help, but then we can talk about how bad its item system is with giving first place golden pipes. But, we'll get to Superstars, we'll get to Superstars. That's the hard thing, too, is that these boards don't have items. And I think it would benefit some of them from having items. But at the end of the day, I think Yoshi's Tropical Island, it might be one of, if not the best boards, but I think I could put it in S tier. I'm not usually a mechanic heavy guy for when I play Mario Party boards, but this is definitely one that I'm down to play if we're doing one of those. Ooh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Easy F tier. And that's before we even get to who owns this board. So, Pig's Battle Canyon. The music, will not lie, is pretty good. It's better than Peach's birthday cake. So actually, it should go above Peach's. The board mechanic is so, it just is a good idea. I feel like where like you shoot cannons to go to different islands and like shoot to the one with the star. But how it works is just so poorly done, and there's such an easy chance to get to bad spots because a lot of them are not good areas. And if you like miss where you're supposed to shoot, then you just are wasting a bunch of time going at cannons over and over. And the Shy Guy mechanic too, a cool idea, but kind of broken. So if I was sitting down playing Mario Party 1 with people, these two I think are the only two I'd be like, please no, I don't want to play it at all. Sounds horrible. Get out of my sight. Only redeeming thing is the music for Battle Canyon, honestly, and that's not enough to get it out of F tier. And when we get to more of these other boards, 100% those two are staying there. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, the Goat's Engine Room. Now, Luigi bias aside, I actually really like this board because it has the switching paths each turn, and what works is that you can do the switching paths, but then there's still happening spaces, there's still stuff to do that you can switch the paths even on your turn by paying some money. And because of all the fun pipes and stuff, like there's sometimes you might go to certain areas because of a happening space or because of a pipe, and it feels like no matter what path you go on, you're still going to achieve something. And that's a big thing that I feel like things like Wario's Battle Canyon don't have. So really, I feel like Luigi's Engine Room is almost like the mechanics of DK's Jungle Adventure, but more fleshed out and better done. So, and the music's also a banger. So yes, Luigi's Engine Room. Not just because Luigi's in it, but it is S tier in my opinion. This song actually slaps. Okay. Mario's Rainbow Castle. So this one is kind of hard because like it's hard because it's like I feel like sometimes I do enjoy it and then sometimes I don't enjoy it. You know, like it's a weird medium because Mario's Rainbow Castle's mechanic is obviously the castle has either Toad or Bowser. So it's kind of like it's like a mix of Peach's Birthday Cake without the seeds and Yoshi's Tropical Island, but just on one island. Starting to notice these kind of have similar ideas to each other, just in different forms. But yeah, I would say that sometimes it can be like a Yoshi's Tropical Island, but then sometimes it feels like a Peach's Birthday Cake where you just keep going to Bowser over and over and over, and then you have to keep starting at the beginning. And it's just like, see, that's just the whole thing I think with like the Peach's Birthday Cake idea, where it's just like going to the top. I think the only one I feel like I've ever seen the, like going up the tower right, if I remember correctly, is Pagoda Peak from Mario Party 7. But yeah, I think I'd put it in the middle just because I feel like I have more fun experiences with Rainbow Castle than bad ones. Yeah, I feel like that's good because I still think it does the Peach's Birthday Cake stuff better, but then obviously like it has some downside. It has some Peach's Birthday Cake downsides. It has some things that like you don't have the big of a problem in Yoshi's Tropical Island. So B tier I think is a good valid one. So Bowser's okay, so this definitely starts the trend of the Bowser stages that can be absolutely brutal for the fun of it. You know, it has those areas where you can try to, you know, hit the star of Bowser to keep going or something like that, like do little shortcuts. It again is once again going up another path mechanic. So like this is our third going on a path. And you know, with Bowser, he can like take your star or buy you a star depending on the rules and stuff. So there's a lot of, this one's brutal, but you know, like Bowser stages are supposed to be more brutal. I think it would do better if we didn't have Peach's Birthday Cake and Mario's Rainbow Castle, and to an extent Tropical Island, where it's a lot of just like paths almost. Tropical is like relatively not like exactly like the other two. And for that, and like for how much it could take just to like lose your star, lose your coins or something to Bowser, that's the really hard thing with these. For like, I'll bring Pagoda Beak back, where that one, it can still have, you know, a certain amount of excuse me, it's like the star can be a certain amount of money, so you still could be able to get it. I guess also with that Kamek one in Mario, Super Mario Party, but that's also, you know, we'll get to that later. But this one I feel like does unfairness, but not in a fun way. It feels like it'll just stress you out. So I'll put it in D because I still think it's better than these two. And also, it does have, again, it does have the merit of being a Bowser stage, so some of the cheese and unfairness makes more sense. And what's playing in the back, wanting to get a banger, Eternal Star. So this one kind of has the Wario's Battle Canyon where you go to different areas, but it's kind of like choosing different pathways based on like going to certain teleporters. If I do remember correctly though, the teleporters only change when the star changes. So before someone gets a star, you can memorize the patterns, which I think is like a perfect way to do this different islands thing. Like if Wario's cannons, nah, I still think that wouldn't work just because Wario's cannons just, like a lot of the islands there are lame. Where I feel like with Eternal Star too, you can go to a lot of different teleporters, even in one turn if you roll high enough. Though I feel like it still has the issue with the islands just because it doesn't, it's like a lot of wasted time, but it's not as much wasted time as Battle Canyon because there's smaller areas and how like it can be patterns unless the new star comes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I think if this is definitely better Wario's Battle Canyon. And it does the idea, I think, properly enough where I'd honestly give it B tier. What I have noticed just from this is that, like, these two are just, like, worse versions of these two. But since the idea, I still think, has some work to be done. Or, like, just shouldn't be there. They stay in the nice B tier. Yeah, honestly, I think this is a pretty solid list for these Mario Party 1 boards. If I were to recommend a top 3 for the boards, these are the 3. And then these ones I wouldn't say are bad choices. This is if you want to have a hard time in a challenge, and this is if you just don't want to have fun. Personal opinion. Even if my Mario Party 1 video, I was having fun on birthday cake. So yeah, this is probably... They might change as we go into these other boards later on, but this is my Mario Party 1 boards tier list. Next time I do a tier list video, it will be Mario Party 2, which you can see goes from 8 to, I'm pretty sure 6, right? 2, 4, yeah, just 6. And then 3, 2, 4, 6. Well, I'll give one that. Though I will say, since one has 2 F tier boards, maybe you should have stuck to 6. How about that? Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Next time it's 2. I'll see you then.